Hey Jelly Tots, welcome to this unboxing. I am feeling quite fizzy because it's been a while since I did an unboxing on the channel, or indeed did an unboxing behind the scenes, to be honest. It's been a while since I put any new system of symbolism into my tarot collection. So this is going to be really interesting. I'm very excited about this deck, very excited to sink my teeth into it and see what it's all about. I have had a pretty crappy day so far today, and I thought, you know what better time to open the PR package that Hay House sent me. So Hay House very kindly sent me this deck to have a look at, and I bit their fingers off for it. As soon as they showed it to me and said, would you like to see this? I was like, oh, yep, right up my alley. So I know that I say a lot of the time on this channel that I do not introduce new decks into my collection until I know that I am really, really ready for a new system of symbols and everything. But also, like most card slingers on the planet, sometimes I do just like to also rip into a deck when I'm feeling a bit crappy, because it is a massive mood elevator. Tarot therapy, baby. So yeah, there is also that motivation as well. So the deck, as you can tell from the title, is the Transient Light Tarot. It is by Ari Wisner. It looks absolutely incredible. It is plastic-free packaging, LGBTQIA-friendly imagery. It has apparently some bespoke poetry in it by Fausta Joly. What a great name she has. Oh my goddess, Fausta Joly. I was like, what the hell? That's the best name ever. So I'm very excited to get my mind around the poetry, because as many of you will know, I am a poet myself and a huge consumer of poetry. So all in all, this is going to be really a beautiful beautiful experience, unboxing experience. I think my hair needs it to be less humid. Like, can we sort that out? My hair doesn't know what is going on anymore. Bless it. Okay. Yeah, so apparently this deck celebrates the power and the magic of transience, which of course is when things are temporary, fleeting, changeable, you know, pliable. I found that to be a really interesting premise for a deck. I was very excited to see where Ari would take that exploration. I also find a lot of power, potency and magic in the notion of transience and the way it turns up in our lives and teaches us lessons. I also find transience incredibly scary, as I think most people with a human ego do. So I just think this is going to be a really interesting deck for me. I think it might bring up some feels. So let's get into it. Let's see. I'm just going to close my friend's beautiful sash window over there, because there is a lot of building going on over the street, and actually that is distracting me. So jump cut here. By the way, before we get into this, just a little bit of an intro to where I am. This is some absolutely stunning photography of brutalist architecture taken by my friend himself, the photographer, the legend, the man badger. This is the most out of control spider plant I think I've ever witnessed. Her name is Sierra. These are rockets, very recommendable speakers. This is a picture of me as a child at Christmas in my My Little Mermaid nightie. So yes, that's every best friend should have that. Okay, if your best friend doesn't have a childhood picture of you knocking around, question that, fix that, change that. And this is a beautiful Polaroid of my best friend's absolutely goddamn stunning girlfriend, who also happens to be my very close friend. So yeah, it's lucky me having all that beauty around. Okay, that's enough twaddling on. I'm no rookie anymore, babies. I bought my scissors over for this. You might wonder, why am I doing this at my best friend's place? Well, I'm taking care of his leopard gecko while he's away with previously mentioned beautiful girlfriend. And yeah, she's shedding right now and she's kind of moody. So she might come on camera later for you guys. She might bring her beautiful Iranian princess self on camera. We don't know, but we can only hope. Okay, I am in. Thank you so much to Hay House for sending me this. Thank you so much, Ari, for conceptualizing of it and bringing it into the world. And let's have a look and see how I feel about it, because I guess that's what the unboxings are all about. It's showing you a bit of the imagery and figuring out how I'm feeling about what I'm looking at, right? So just to let you know, if you haven't seen an unboxing with me before, there are cutaways to the cards. When I'm talking about a card, there will be a well-lit cutaway of the card, okay? So yes, it's not just going to be my face the whole time. Oh, this is beautiful. Love that eye. So I tend to not, it's not a walkthrough, my loves. So again, for anyone who hasn't seen an unboxing with me before, this is not a walkthrough, and obviously it's not a review because I haven't played with the deck yet. I don't even know what the card stock is like yet or anything. So it's not a review and it's not a walkthrough. I don't show all of the cards. I give you a taste, okay? So usually I show between 20 and 30 cards, and I just have a little chat about what is really interesting me with the deck. This box is beautiful. It feels incredibly sturdy. It's also signed, which is exciting. Thank you, Ari, for that. Okay, all right, so on the back it says, rediscover your own wisdom. Inspired by the beauty of transience, this powerful tarot invites you to embrace the spirit of growth and celebrate our limitless collective connection. Oh, I love that wording. By tuning into the magic of the cards, you'll discover your own wisdom and opportunities for healing, reflection, and authenticity. And then underneath it says, Ari Wisner is a queer artist, illustrator, and designer. Well, this looks really, really beaut. And it says here on the top, with poetry by Fausta Joly. Okay, so I'm going in, and we've got quite a hefty little white book there, very nicely put together with the kind of deck theme on it, and I love that color palette. And a little bit more detail on the back. Apparently this is inspired by Ari Wisner's personal journey. The stunning imagery and symbolism of the cards holds universal appeal. Then it says, this tarot is genderless and reimagined so that each and every one of us can find ourselves within. And that was a big selling point for me when deciding whether or not to actually unbox this and take a copy of it, because as much as I really appreciate and feel so privileged, you know, to be reached out to by creators and by companies when it comes to decks and taking decks into my collection, I also do not like to own decks that I wouldn't personally work with and that I don't actually get a sort of click with straight away when looking at the imagery. Obviously, when it came to Transient Light Tarot, I had a very strong feeling I was going to love this deck. And the fact that it's been reimagined as genderless was really interesting to me and appealed to me a lot. And I think would appeal to my audience a lot. So there's definitely going to be some name changes in this deck. This is a very beautiful, very easy to read little white book. There's an intro here with information about the creator's tarot journey, the gender neutral and inclusive approach, how to create your own practice, how to do rituals with tarot. Creating a ritual is a powerful way to make space and prepare yourself for a reading. We've got here some details about Fausta Joly. So, you know, you're really covering everything here. Let's have a look at what I know you want, which is how much of a breakdown of the card meanings is there and what do they look like, okay? So, it looks like you've got one black page and one white page per card. So, and you've got the little illustration of what the card is doing here. You've got the keywords and then the paragraph of text. Oh, and on the other side, that's the poetry. Okay, so this is Fausta Joly's poetry on this side, and then the description of the card and image of the card, including keywords on the other side. Wow, so Fausta really did the damn thing. There is a piece of bespoke poetry for every card in the major arcana. And there is also a poem for every suit in the minor arcana. So you've got literally a poem for every major arcana card, and then you've got that black page for the beginning of every minor arcana suit, like this, like so. So a poem for wands, poem for cups, poem for swords, and for pentacles. That's really beautiful. I will go ahead and read a little bit of the poetry when I get a little bit more into the actual images, and I will see if the poetry, you know, speaks to the imagery in the way that I was expecting. At the back, there are some spreads, my darlings. I know people often want to know whether or not spreads are included in the little white book. And then I love what it says here. It says part 3, spreads. Then underneath it says, you might not understand until you absorb the magic of the transient. I love that. I love that. I think that's very much the case sometimes with our readings that we do for ourselves and others. So yeah, you've got the past, present, future spread. You've actually got also a signature spread from the creator, Ari's spread. I think it's Ari's spread. Fausta's solstice healing spread. So the poet has actually turned up and done a spread as well. And it looks really, really interesting. Very, well, that one looks really meaty actually. Wow. Yeah, that's it's a really beautiful little white book. It's everything in there that I would expect a little white book to include. Now I am going in and I'm going to have a look at the cards. I get a great feeling from this deck already, my loves. Yeah, I love it. This is the back of it. I know many people want to know, is it playing card stock? Is it stronger than playing card stock? I'd say it's a tad bit stronger than playing card stock, my loves. And as many of you also will know, I'm not too fussed about stock because I actually get annoyed when it's too hard, when it's like a bit postcardy. I mean, of course, it will stand the test of time, so I'm not super upset, but I find it quite difficult to shuffle with my wee little hands, you know. So yeah, for me, this is a really nice stock, and it's not too flimsy. It's like posh playing cards, right? Posh playing card stock. Okay, so let me begin straight away with the Fool and talk a little bit about the Fool. We have the hanging key in the Fool that you see in the poetry pages in the little white book, and that really interests me. It's interesting to me that that same motif has been used for the poetry pages as is used in the Fool card. I think I want to mention the Fool because it's such an intense introduction to this deck. You've got the open eye with the flower inside it, that hanging key, and the Fool is actually floating out in the galaxy. You know, so it's a very different vibe to what we usually see. I get an astral travel vibe from this card. I get a dream and lucid dream kind of vibe from it. Daydreaming maybe, going into the further reaches of the imagination, and also having those transpersonal experiences that kind of detach us from ego and from our kind of small individualist way of thinking and career us into something a lot more transpersonal and egoless, I suppose. So it does remind me of spiritual experiences. It definitely reminds me, as I said, of astral travel and dream work. So it's just a very potent introduction there to Transient Light Tarot. The Magician is really potent. I find that to be a beautiful card there with the 4 different pendants, the skull, the crystal, that beautiful amulet, and the feather. That kind of is interesting because it helps me to connect personally with the Magician. I very much always said that I am a style witch and a jewellery witch, and I love all my little trinkets, and everything that I wear has some meaning and is important to me on some level. And it's sort of, I'm always connecting it into my spirituality. So I love the fact that these are pendants, they're trinkets, they're necklaces. I find that really beautiful. And I love the sort of floaty licks of sort of mystical smoke and water at the bottom. I think that's going to be something that will follow us throughout the whole deck. The kind of cloudy, smoky, liquidy vibes that I think represent transience, you know. They represent the shift from one form to another. So I find that to be really clever. When I discovered that Ari was going to be having a genderless perspective on this deck and was going to be sort of looking at it through that lens, I was very interested to see what was going to happen with the Emperor and Empress. And so I would like to share with you what is going on with those 2 cards. Instead of Empress, we have the Nurturer, and instead of the Emperor, we have the Defender. And I think these 2 cards really interplay nicely together. So I will show them together. You can see here, you've got the oyster shell opening up with the perfect pearl inside it. On the seabed, and you can see there is the crown of stars there, as we would usually see atop the Empress's crown. But actually the crown of stars is floating above the open shell. And then with the Defender, you have this really beautiful kind of very solid looking crown like object that is securing and protecting this sort of cut gem. And you can see those very formidable looking mountains underneath. So I think these 2 play really nicely together. They really make sense to me. They don't make me feel at odds at all with the usual energies that I would associate with Empress and Emperor. And so, yeah, I think they interplay nicely. I think what I'm going to do now, my loves, is I will have a look at Fausta's poetry, and I'll also have a little look at Ari's descriptions from the little white book. And we will see what is kind of being revealed about these 2 cards. So with the Nurturer, the Empress card, the oyster shell, it says here, nurture, fertility, beauty, and creativity. And it says here, Like the formation of a pearl, the nurturer takes a small stone and cradles it with care and nourishment to create a valuable gem. This character reminds us to practice both self-care and the care of others. And it says other things as well. I just wanted to give you a little taster. I'm going to go ahead and read the poem for the nurturer. Pearl of the crown sits atop a bed of softest velvet, luxuriate in the plush creases. Tendered healing moment, room for kundalini gone tantric. Light a candle, whisper sweet nothings into your altar. Don't be afraid to ask for the higher love you crave. Very beautiful. And then for the defender, we've got the keywords strength, protection, defense, and wisdom. And it says here, like a diamond, the defender is strong and reliable with raw passion that once cut to form is clear and effective. This card prompts us to be strong and defend what matters to us. So you can see the interplay here that Ari has used that raw material in each case, but formed differently, presented to us differently, and in very different realms, you know, that would represent more the Empress energy and the Emperor energy. So this is really powerful. This is a great way to take things genderless, and I'm really here for it. The Emperor poem from Fausta Joly goes a little bit like this. Know what it's like to have someone standing in your corner. The defender illuminates hostile rocky terrain with a faultless protective force. May seem like you're in a spot of limp direction, but feel the strength of purest carbon. That's a diamond to me and you. Ask if you're about to let the whole team misstep or find the call for action. Ooh, that's very challenging. That one is very kind of like, are you stepping up or what the fuck are you doing? Let's have a think. I like that. That was very, a very potent one there. Okay, I can definitely see where this deck is going, and I like. So let's have a little bit more of a look. The Hanged one is definitely thought-provoking, and I really like it. Again, you've got a pendant here, but it's in the opened hand of the figure, and it is an anchor. I really approve of this on several levels. First of all, as I said with the Magician card, I love the use of jewellery in tarot or in art or in anything really, because I'm a massive jewellery fiend. And if you want to see me going through some of my jewellery and raving about jewellery, I will leave you a couple of videos down below, okay? I have gone into jewellery town here on my channel. So this is very beautiful. I must say, the other level it works on for me, darlings, is I live right by the sea. In fact, I have quite a nice sea view from right here. So I appreciate the fact that it is an anchor. I'm interested to see what Ari says about the reasoning behind choosing this particular pendant for the Hanged one. So I'm going to go to that page in the little white book. The keywords are surrender, sacrifice, humility, and patience. It says the act of surrender is a powerful recognition of the context and larger universe beyond yourself. Oh my God, Ari, you have a way with words, darling. What is more beautiful than the selfless act of letting go of control for the greater good? The reward will be deeper and more eternal. While steering your life, it's helpful to stay grounded and patient with the losses you sometimes need to face for greater rewards. The state of surrender also gives you new perspective to meditate and view the world from outside your own context. Okay, so actually, Ari does not specifically mention the anchor, but just by the mention of steering, I think I actually get what is being hinted at here. And that certainly makes sense. It's a very interesting one because I actually wrote a poem about the Hanged Man called The Hanged Man at Sea a while ago. You can look at it over on my Instagram my poetry Instagram. I'll leave the link to it down below. So I actually have associated the Hanged Man, or the Hanged One in this case, I have associated that energy with the deep sea. So I find that very interesting as well. So this is a lot to think on for me. So this might be one of my favorite devil cards that I have seen in a while. This kind of imagery, yes, I'm very excited about it. Again, there is a pendant. This is a very pendant and jewelry happy deck. There's lots of trinkets and amulets and jewels, and as a magpie, Ari, I'm here for it. Okay, this is absolutely awesome. So if you look at the devil card here, you will see that there is this this chain with a heart pendant on it, and it's being threatened by the open scissors, and you have a snake very interested in it and kind of coiled around it as well. So here I feel like themes are coming up of risk, uncertainty, danger, you know, the feeling that things are precarious, and that very much goes in with the theme of transient light, transience being the big theme that we're working with here. This is a very cool, very beautiful devil card. There's a lot to meditate on. There's a lot to think about. It gives me a nervousness and an unsettled feeling, but it also really excites me. It draws me in. I'm very excited by this imagery, and I'm looking at it like, as soon as I saw the devil card, as soon as I came to this card, I was like, ooh, you know? So I think that's interesting too, that it's so beautiful and it's so sort of, I was going to say enchanting, but I don't even mean that. I mean, oh, what is the word? It escapes me. I've got a little bit of presque-vous there, as the French say, when it's right on the tip of the tongue, darling. No, I can't think of it, but it's like, it's drawing me in. It is kind of like, it is enchanting me, but I mean something a little bit more like, ooh, do I want that? Do I not? I can't stop looking at it though, that kind of a vibe. So I do appreciate that devil card very much. Judgment is very cool. You've got here the trumpet with the key motif hanging off of it, and the birds in the background. You've got like a cosmic egg, that looks like, in the bottom corner. I don't think that's a moon. I think that's actually an egg, which is very appropriate with judgment being so much to do with rebirth, awakening, realization, all of those good themes. So I do have a lot of time for this card. This is a very interesting depiction. It's very simple. It keeps the trumpet, which I think is one of the parts of the symbolism in Judgment that I connect with so much, and that I think a lot of card slingers use to actually explain, you know, what the energy of Judgment is, but it strips everything else back. It's just the birds in the sky, you know, the cosmic egg in the galaxy, and this gigantic astral trumpet with the key hanging from it. So this is very high powered, this image. It's like less is more in this case, and less is definitely more with this. This is great. Okay, my darlings, let's go on into the Suit of Wands. And I've noticed as I go through that all of the wands in Suit of Wands are actually bundles of wands. So instead of working with singular wands each time, Ari has made the creative decision to actually bind the wands in what looks like big daisies, or something of that nature. And yeah, it does give a very powerful sense of imagery. So for example, if you have a look at Two of Wands, I will do the cutaway now. You can see that the wands are represented by a bundle of sticks each, bound together in what looks like a very kind of cool pagan way. So there's very much a ritualistic vibe here, which I love. You've got that kind of globe in the middle, the big sphere, and then you've got that beautiful sort of white thread tying around the sphere, with the sea below and the cloud above. And it's just a really beautiful sense of interplay, alchemy, something magical happening, a balancing act happening cosmically. And there is the sense that it is transient. There is the sense that this is not something that is happening forever. It's something that is happening indefinitely. It's a moment to marvel at and behold. So I think that's really beautiful. And the globe in the middle, again, it's almost like with the Judgment card where the trumpet is kept, you know, that announcement object is kept, but everything else is stripped away. With Two of Wands, of course, normally we do see a figure holding a globe, or in the modern witch, it's like a smartphone, but something that represents the ability to see the 360 round view of something and have that sense of understanding and planning and strategizing. We still have that here with the globe. But everything else is stripped back, and I just find that really powerful. Four of Wands in this deck gives me quite a different feeling to the ordinary Four of Wands. So if you remember, for those of you who are still kind of learning and don't always remember the cards off by heart, if you look at the Rider-Waite-Smith system with Four of Wands, we're usually looking at this sort of gateway with beautiful garlands hanging from it. And as you look through the gateway, you can see that there are people getting ready for some kind of party or event, and quite a big proud homestead in the background. So usually when you see this card, you feel this sense of community, connection, cohesion, you know, people coming together for some kind of an event. Now, Four of Wands here, it's not that markedly different. You know, you're still walking through kind of archways towards a door. But is anybody else getting the secret coven vibe with this particular interpretation? Because the open door is only very slightly ajar with that bright light pouring out from it. So I'm getting the sense that there is something a little bit covert happening, maybe something a little bit esoteric, and something that you're not entirely sure of. And then with the black window up above, you've got that singular candle burning. And to me, that's almost like a little symbol, a little signal, something a little witchy is going on here. And I'm not afraid of it, and I'm not angry with it. Well, I'm slightly afraid of it. Actually, my first instinct was like, oh, am I going in there? You know, whereas usually I feel quite excited to go towards whatever is through that archway with Four of Wands. But with this, I'm like, oh, this is a witchy thing, you know? And I suppose in the beginning, I got a little bit of friend or foe type of vibe. That's a very interesting card. Let me actually indulge myself, darling, since it's my unboxing after all, and have a little look at what has been said about the Four. It says here, keeping a tether to your origins will serve as an important point of reference when measuring your growth. Wherever or whoever you call home, it's your well of energy and healing. It's here that you can celebrate success, deal with loss, and give thanks for your experiences. Oh, I love that. So, okay, so now I'm almost feeling a little bit like I could also accept the possibility that that is my own home. You know, like that is actually where I belong. I'm not going into somebody else's space. That's my space where that candle is burning. So that's very interesting. At the bottom, it says, include those in your life who hold a light for you. Draw close and share the journey. I love that because I think sometimes the interpretation of Four of Wands can be very much about social gathering and cohesion and connection, but in a more sort of broad way, you know, whereas I feel like this card is more about the intimacy of letting in those people who, as Ari said, hold a light for you. And I think that's quite different from just a bunch of people getting together to do something creative or do something spiritual or have an event together. When you let in someone who's holding a light for you and sharing the journey, there's a lot more intimacy there. And I think that's what this card gives me as well. It gives me that sense of intimacy, you know, that something intimate is about to happen. So nice one. I like that interpretation a lot. Good visuals. Ten of Wands, I have to mention, I really enjoy this card because not only is it very beautiful to behold, very nice, but also it doesn't give me any of the strife and the arduous stuff, you know. Usually with Ten of Wands, we are looking at somebody doing some pretty backbreaking, arduous labor, you know, someone who is hauling wands up the hill. Now, there's a lot of misconception with Ten of Wands. Whenever we see this imagery of someone working incredibly hard, you know, really sweating it out, probably taking on too much, we instantly think that that must mean that the card is only negative. But no, the card has a lot to do with reaping a very strong harvest, you know, accepting a very strong reward and having worked for what you ultimately get to take back to your home and enjoy. So even though it looks difficult, it's also a triumphant walk back to the house for this figure. And I think that's often overlooked when we observe the image in something like the Rider-Waite-Smith system and its descendants, all of its many, many, many bastard children. Ari is not working with that system all too closely. Ari's made the decision instead to just show the harvest, you know, framed by this night sky of stunning luminous stars. So to me, that is just... I'm definitely wanting to say chef's kiss here. I definitely think that here we're looking at the harvest as opposed to the labor and the toil and the sacrifice of getting the harvest, which is part of it. But like I said, I think with Ten of Wands, it can get overdone. Whereas here we're just looking at the joyful basket of stuff that we've got, that we're excited about, that we've earned through our harnessing of fire, our caretaking of the fire, and our dissemination of the fire where it needed to go. You know, so this is a real moment of glory, a moment of triumph, and again, transient. It's very transient. All moments of glory are. So I love this. This is making me feel something. So this is the very first time looking through this deck that I get to see what Ari Wisner has decided to do with the pages, knights, queens, and kings. Let me have a look. Okay, so instead of page, we have the Apprentice of Wands. The telescope there, which is really cool. Instead of the knight, we have Champion of Wands. I love that. That reworking as Champion is really good. Instead of Queen, we have Keeper of Wands. I love that. And then Crown of Wands for the King. So this is a really interesting reimagining. I will definitely have to do a little bit of note-taking and consideration on what I think of that. I think the only thing that I would say is that all of the rest of them seem to have a job, whereas the king, it's an object. So apprentice, champion, and keeper, to me, they're all archetypes. Whereas the king has been reimagined as the crown, and to me, that's not a person, that's an object. So it will take a little bit of time to get my head around that, but I think it's a very interesting reworking and renaming. I definitely will give it that. So yeah, I think these are beautiful, and come on, that champion of wands is great. How lovely. Also, the key turns up again in keeper of wands, and that giant sunflower, how beautiful. So I can't complain about these things. You know, there's a lot to chew on, a lot to think about here. Actually, crown of wands is quite intense as well. Look at that. That's really beautiful with the crystal pendant there and the burning wand in the center with the crown sort of protecting and ensconcing there. Do you know what I just thought, my loves, as I was having a little break and a little sip of my drink? I love this cut glass. This is great. I was thinking that actually I just said that the crown wasn't a person in the same way that the others are, like a role that a person would play, keeper, champion, apprentice, right? But actually, I can still view the crown as an archetype, because we think of the crown as like royalty, aristocracy, etc. I don't know, the landowning classes, I don't know, something of that nature. I could probably still rework it in my brain as having archetypal energy, because archetypes are obviously not just human beings and their roles, although usually when we talk about archetypes, we are talking about the roles that human beings play. But lots of things can be archetypes, you know. So there's archetypal energy running through systems, you know, running through types of governance, running through isms, essentially. So I think, yeah, there'll be a lot more thinking that I need to do on that. Okay, so let's move on to the Suit of Cups, which has been reimagined as the Suit of Vessels in this deck, which I think is great because I've kind of had a sneaky little flick through, and Ari has very much utilised the word vessels so that different forms of receptacle can be used. So just to give you an example, let's look at Ace of Vessels here. You've got the message in a bottle. Message in a bottle, yeah. Sorry, but I'm a huge fan of the Police. And if you show me a little scroll in a bottle, I will inevitably start singing Message in a Bottle by the Police. It's just the way it's going to be. This is a very, very cool reimagining of Ace of Cups. And I really love that. There's a lot to think about there. There's that potential there, that sort of deep giving that is involved with Ace of Cups, but reimagined as this potentially very impassioned and emotive message in the bottle. So then with Two of Vessels, I will show you that. We've got here the two glasses clinking and the liquid turning into this cosmic tangling energy that looks a bit like a DNA, which is very exciting. So I love that. And then I'll show you Three of Vessels, just to show you the sheer scope of the different ways that the word vessel has been interpreted. Here, the creator has gone for vessels of paint, tubes of paint, and the paintbrush kind of sweeping through that lovely cosmic star-encrusted background there, giving us that artistic expression. And for Three of Vessels, that's really interesting because usually with Three of Cups, we are looking at people, you know, dancing, making merry, etc., connecting with each other. But actually with this, I can see that the colours are connecting together and forming something that is more than the sum of their individual parts. And I think that's a really interesting diversion, it's a different way, you know, it's like a different avenue to take with that energy. So I'm just really enjoying the way that the creator has played very much with the word vessel and everything that can mean. I want to show you Five of Vessels that I'm looking at now as well. This is a basket with two eggs and then the three broken eggs on the outside. And if you know what Five of Cups looks like, sugar dumplings, you will know that the creator has done exceptionally well in the reimagining here. This is fucking clever. This is great, you know, because we do have those two eggs that are still whole, that are still there. They're ready for use. They're ready to be valued. But focusing on those broken eggs, that's where the Five of Vessels gets its feeling of kind of like brooding, wallowing, shrouding oneself in the pain of the past, instead of looking at the opportunity that is still present. This is a great reimagining. I really have to give the artist props for this. This is fucking brilliant. Guys, I fucking love the Suit of Vessels. I have to show you Six of Vessels as well. I've just gotten completely caught up in the beauty of Six of Vessels. Look at this. These really really sort of domineering looking, very sort of drama heavy chests, these lockable chests that are full of treasure and memories and nostalgia. And the top one has burst open to reveal letters, a pendant, some flowers, some Polaroids, a clock. It's just, this is everything I'm looking for in a card. This is so me all over. I love this. Yeah, this is really powerful because Six of Cups usually is about like the nostalgia and sentimentality of deep connection, what it can be, what it might not be anymore. There's a lot of opportunity for the theme of transience to come into the Six of Cups energy, the Six of Cups theme. And the way that this has been done with Six of Vessels, the idea of the transience of a former relationship, a former time, the mementos, the souvenirs, the things you couldn't get rid of, you know, and that clock. It's actually making me emotional. Oh my God. Ari, what are you doing to me? Oh my God. It's really making me emotional. It's like the things that you would never, ever do away with that still lock you into that time so perfectly that it's like you've gone back there, even though that time is not here anymore and you can't have that again. Damn it. I don't know if a card's ever made me cry in an unboxing, but it's happening. Jump cut, damn it. Oh, okay, darlings, I'm back. Oh my God, yes. That was a lot. But I'm not angry about it. That was very much something. That did something to me. I'm just going to show you one more. Oh my goddess. The whole suit of vessels is... No, guys, I'm sorry. I have to show you all 4 of the court cards from the suit of vessels. I have to. I'm doing it. I don't even care. Right. Look at this cutaway. Look at this goddamn cutaway. Look at it. Apprentice of Vessels, you've got the potter creating the bowl. Champion of Vessels, the beautiful backpack with the bird sitting on the lookout on top. Keeper of Vessels, you know this one does it for me. It is the anatomical heart with the key on top. That is just everything I want. And then Crown of Vessels, the beautiful, dramatic, amulet-studded skull with the crown floating atop it. These court cards are boss. Like, yes. It's just a yes from me, all right? It's a yes. It's a ya. It's a da. It's a we. It's all the yeses from all the countries put together, okay? I'm saying yes right now. All right, darlings, let's have a little look at the suit of swords now. Ooh, okay. This is awesome. 4 of Swords is very magical and mystical. You've got the butterfly sat atop the handle of a sword that is actually looking at you, the open eye of that sword. Then you've got 3 other swords hanging in the background. That is very interesting because with 4 of Swords, we are looking at this pause. You know, we're looking at this kind of like necessary delay, a stopping, a rethinking, a reworking, a rejuvenating. It is, again, a sort of card in tarot that the theme of transience would speak to quite a lot. And that butterfly there representing transmutation, representing the shift. I just think that's interesting and it will be a lot to get into and think about as I go along. I also want to show you 6 of Swords. This is really gorgeous. You've got that bridge with the beautiful water and the lotus flowers in the water, the dark, dramatic night sky, the swords kind of standing watch, you know, like soldiers on that bridge, and then the giant butterfly overhead, that cosmic butterfly. That's really, again, mystical, astral. Ooh, and oh my God, I have to show you 7 of Swords, actually. Look at this checkered floor, which I always love. It reminds me of a chessboard. It reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. It reminds me of old stately homes. It reminds me of a lot of good stuff, okay? The checkered floorboard. Oh, also, there's a checkered floorboard in the astral realm for me. Actually, it's part of what takes me into the astral is a checkered floor. So that's another reason why it's important for me personally. So you've got the checkered floor, you've got the swords coming in either side, almost looking again like centurions or keepers or guardians, soldiers, if you will. And then the butterfly is making off with the 7th sword, flying along with it on that white string. So we do have the sense that one of them is being taken, something is being stolen, something is being done away with, something is being redistributed, because sometimes that is the case with 7 of Swords. We often think of 7 of Swords as something being robbed, a betrayal taking place, but actually sometimes the figure or the animal or whatever, the energy making off with the swords is not so much a thief as they are a little bit of a Robin Hood character, okay, a little bit of a freedom fighter for the underdog. So there's definitely something really mystical and beautiful happening there as well. Apprentice of Swords is particularly notable in the court for the suit of swords here. You've got the sword going through the books. I think that might be low-key a little bit disturbing for a lot of my bookish witches that watch the channel. They might be like, oh my god, what's happening to the books? Save the books. But it's very dramatic. I mean, I can almost see myself getting a tattoo of something like this, you know? It is just very dramatic, and it shows that sort of like that brute, sharp knowledge that is being driven towards when you are in the momentum of reading and ingesting understanding and really coming to potency with your skill in a subject. And that often includes a pile of books. For many people, that's what it requires. And here you've just got this very sort of strong energy of cutting through and going to pure understanding of something. So I really love that. So the final suit, my darlings, the suit of coins in the Transient Light Tarot. I'm just having a little look here. Four of Coins has been really interestingly reimagined. So with Four of Coins, we usually see in a lot of decks a figure grasping onto four coins in a very kind of like very sort of stubborn way, I guess. A lot of the time, the shadow of Four of Coins is the miserly energy, the energy of like wanting to pull everything very close. The illuminated or the active, the conscious side of Four of Coins would be making sure you've got your resources where they need to be, making sure you've got your ducks in a row, making sure everything is where you need it, and you're being careful with your resources. With Four of Coins, we take out a lot of the energy of that sort of miserly, selfish, you know, self-oriented, me kind of energy that can sometimes be in the shadow of Four of Coins. Of course, it's still there, but this imagery is not overt about it. Instead, with Four of Coins here, we have the four white and green pentacles inside the bag. And then we do have other pentacles on the outside, other coins, sorry, other things that are going on and can be received or can be reached out for. But ultimately, what we know we've got is in the bag. And it's the bag that's important, you know. I do think that's an interesting reworking. Five of Coins I really love. It's like this broken necklace. There is another card, I think it's the Naked Heart Tarot. I want to say Five of Coins is also represented by a broken necklace, but I think it might be a different card. I don't remember. I'll try and put a little detail down below in the description to let you know. But I loved it in the Naked Heart Tarot. I love it here. A broken necklace to me is, you know, like the sword through the books. It's low-key slightly disturbing for me. Okay, I love my necklaces. I don't like to see them break. But there is something intensely symbolic for me about a breaking necklace, about that broken string. And I think that works really well for Five of Coins. I absolutely love Seven of Coins. I love how full this image feels. You've got all of this beautiful leaf work in the back, and then the pentacles kind of jumping out at you like shimmering stars on that background. It just gives me a very full, very sumptuous representation of what Seven of Coins is about. And I feel like if we're thinking about examining growth, examining harvest, you know, checking how things are coming along, if we think about that being one of the central themes of Seven of Coins, then being really up close and personal to these thorny vines with the leaves and everything, it kind of makes you feel like you really are the farmer, you really are the grower of these plants, and you're getting really, really close. And I think the essence of the beauty of transience is in that, you know, looking at leaves, looking at flowers, watching them do their thing, acknowledging how much you want them to grow and have life, but also acknowledging how momentary this sort of valuing it is between yourself and this other being, this other type of life. Ooh, I love the fact that Ari has used grapes in Nine of Coins. I love that. And the grapes are kind of like coming in and framing this beautiful formation of the 9 coins. And we do have some silhouettes of butterflies there and the stars. So really, this is a very beautiful deck all in all. And this is a very beautiful reinterpretation of 9 of Coins. Usually we do see the successful looking figure in the garden, but with this we're just being given very much that suggestion of abundance and everything being sumptuous and ready for us and in order and gorgeous looking, you know, without having the sense that we have to put any gender on that with the representation of a human. So Very, very cool. This is a job well done. Now, at the end, I just wanted to mention, at the end of the deck, there are 3 extra cards. Now, this is interesting because I've been thinking about doing a video on extra cards because I have quite a few decks now that have extra cards. And with some of them, I have chosen to use those cards, and with others, I've chosen to put them aside. It's different with every deck. Sometimes I keep them, sometimes I use them. So I thought about doing a video about this just to see what other people think and to share some of my experiences. The 3 extra cards in the Transient Light Tarot are past, present, and future. Past, present, and future. Here they are. So I will do a little bit more thinking about that. Oh, I see how they all go together as well, like the DNA helix thing. That's really beautiful to see how they work together. There we go. That's really cool. A little bit like Light Visions Tarot. Okay. What do you think, darlings? Just from sort of looking at these 3, would you keep them in? Do you keep extra cards in? I love having them to play with. And I love having a think about what they would or would not bring to the overall feel of a deck. So I'll definitely be considering that. So I want to thank Hay House again for sending me this deck. I want to thank Ari for creating this deck. It's beautiful. I want to lead out with some of Fausta Joly's poetry from the little white book. And this has been the unboxing of the Transient Light Tarot. Thank you so much for coming with me on this journey. It definitely has upped my mood and made me feel better. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read Fausta Joly's poem for the realm of vessels, okay, for the suit of vessels. Is your heart open? Are you ready to receive? Given out, now taking in, love in a liquid form. How fast do you want the river to flow? Do you need to put up a dam? As we traverse from 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, you can find the waterfall of pure fulfillment if you work with temperance and tune into alignment. Ooh, I love that. Thank you so much, Fausta, for bringing your beautiful poetry into the guidebook for Transient Light Tarot. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, sugar dumplings. Get at me. Thank you again for being with me on this journey. Much love, happy card slinging, and blessed be. Mwah.